All right, going to quick demonstrate how to make a graph using Google Sheets. You should have access to this set of instructions, I'm guessing, because you probably use this link here to find this video. But I'm going to kind of whip through these instructions and hopefully it'll all make sense and you'll love it. It's a sweet skill to have. Okay, so first thing, it says open a blank Google Sheet. So you can do that by pressing the plus or Command T to get a new tab in Chrome. And then either in the address bar or in the search box, you can just do Sheets.new. There's other ways to get to it using this waffle menu in Google and such as well, but that Sheets.new is a cool hack I learned this year. Okay, now we want to put in a data table. So it's possible that you have a lab electronically and you can just go and select the graph there, highlight, click and drag to highlight, do Command C to copy it, and then you could, if you want to do that, just click one single time in here. You'll notice like right here is the one that's highlighted. If I double click it, that opens it up that I can type in there. That won't work. It'll put your whole chart in there. But if you just click once to select it, you should be able to do Command V and it will copy and paste your data table in. If you don't have that, then we want to go and start typing things in. So I'm going to make a data table. I'm going to say miles ridden. And actually I'm going to go distance ridden. And then I'm going to put my units right in here in parentheses. Then I could hit enter to get out of it, or I could press tab to automatically go to the next one over. And I'm going to say gummy bears, or maybe bears eaten, gummy bears eaten. And I'm going to put my units in as dozen. Okay, so now you'll notice it totally cut those things off. That doesn't really matter, but it'll look prettier. You could either click and drag up here in the menu things to make them larger. That's one way to do it. You could have instead maybe left it the sizes that they were. And if you highlight those, you could just highlight those by clicking and dragging to select both of those cells. You could select everything by clicking this upper corner. But I'm going to go and tell it that it has to wrap around. So in the menu up here on top, I don't see what I want. So I'm going to click these three dots here that say more. And now this says what to do. So right now it's on text wrapping. It's saying it's going to go from one cell over to the one on the right. I want it to go and wrap around, so to put everything in that one row. And as long as it's highlighted, if you want to bold it, it just makes it look pretty. But okay, I'm getting carried away. All right, so now we want to go and put in some numbers. You can just type in numbers kind of like however you want. So if I go 1 mile, I'm going to eat 1 dozen gummy bears. If I go, anyway, so I could type in 1 mile, doesn't make sense. Type in 10 miles, I'm going to eat 1 dozen gummy bears. Then if I go 15 miles, I'm going to eat 2 dozen. If I go over here, now I have things typed in. Okay, so let's say I put some things in, something like this. I was totally choking on my numbers. All right, now I want to take and I want to make a chart. So if you're looking at those instructions, we're down to data table 3. This is where it gets really cool. So I don't want to double click because double clicking opens up and you'll see you can type stuff in there. I just want to single click and highlight to drag everything. Now Google is going to call it a chart instead of a graph. So I go up to insert and I'm going to go down here to chart. I'm going to select chart. It's on top of my data table, so I'm just going to click on there and drag it off of there. I could resize it if I wanted to, but one of the beautiful things is you'll notice it automatically labeled both my axes, my X values, the column that I listed first, the Y values, the column that I listed second. It puts a title in and so on. All kinds of cool things you can do. All right, so now I'm looking at 4A, modify the graph, the chart to make it awesome. So if you don't have this chart editor, or if you click the X to get rid of it, one way to make it go up is click on your graph. That highlights it, and you get these 3 dots here. You can go down to edit chart, and that brings it up. If you don't want to scatter plot a thing of points, you could go with a line graph. We typically don't use that in physics, usually use scatter plots. You could change it into a bar graph perhaps if it's something for another class, or maybe even for physics. You could do a line graph that shades below. There's all kinds of options that you can get in here, and you can have multiple sets of data if you have 3 columns. Anyway, okay, but you just want a scatter plot. Usually it'll start that way. Sometimes it'll automatically do a line graph. All right, so let's see. I did 4A, 4B. Okay, graph title and axes. So if you want to fix those, one thing you could do is double click on it and automatically type there. Otherwise, me get my edit chart. You could go over to Customize and then choose Chart Axes and Titles. And okay, I could change the X-axis, I could change the Y-axis, I could change the title, I could add a subtitle underneath it. There's all kinds of things that you can do there. That's letter C. Letter D, adding a line of best fit. Okay, so to do that, you want to go to Series, so I click on that to open it up. And you can change color, you can do all kinds of stuff. I'm going to go down here to Trend Line. And if I click on Trend Line, it defaults to a straight line. And sometimes it's nice to have an equation for that. So you can go down to Label and type in Use Equation. You'll notice it does Y, my Y values here, gummy bears and dozen, equals mx plus b, or plus a negative b in this case. You'll notice that is the slope-intercept form for a line from math class. And all right, so if we have use equation, if for some reason you don't want a linear, you could go and you could do all kinds of different ones. You could do logarithmic or polynomial or exponential. You could pick different ones. For us, this is going to be a linear graph. And that is that. You can do all kinds of other stuff as well by going over here on the side. Trying to see where it is in my notes here. Clicking around. So if you click around different stuff here, you can do all kinds of, you can change the colors and things like that. Typically I don't bother with any of that, but I'm not into cutesy necessarily. All right, so that's it. If you want to print this whole thing, page 2 of the instructions, at least the instructions the way they are now, talk about copying and pasting it in. So if I wanted to put this in a lab report or just print the graph, I could click on the graph once. You'll notice it's highlighted. Hold Command, press C to copy like normal. Then I could open up a Google Doc. I'm going to do Command T for a new one, docs.new, and then I could Command V to paste it in there. If I do link to spreadsheet, then if I change the spreadsheet, it'll change it in the doc. I'm just going to do paste unlinked, so if something happens to that spreadsheet, it doesn't change things here. And then I could print like normal. If you want to print the data table and the chart, there we go. You could either press the printer icon here or do File, Print. And then it'll print just the current sheet, the current page that's open, and then click Next, and then should be able to select your printer and send it to your printer like normal. So that's the really quick instructions. So you could follow the typed out list if you want to ask for help. It's a great skill to have. Have a great day.